Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3. And Category 4 in red. Category 1 away on the Sunday Race Club. Qualifier race number 3. 35 kilometers to cover in distance, 537 meters of elevation to climb. 5 sprints, 2 climbs on the way through.
We're on a bridge, and it's Mika Soderstrom pushing on the front. You know, she's got such a phenomenal kick, such a phenomenal pace on her. Guerra closing it down because she doesn't want to let her go.
You know, they're riders who will take the opportunity. If there's a sprint, if there's a kick out, somebody might put an attack. If somebody just eases off the back and goes snowballing through, they might then use that move as a springboard to break the group up and try and bring it down. This race already breaking down. And today, Emma, we have seen the smaller groups form earlier in categories 4, 3, 2 and 1. Category 1 are breaking, and it's another small group. This is not big for category 1 at this stage.
This is the leading group in category 3, and they are about to make the catch.
And this point, coming past the waterfalls, this is where we see the catch regularly between the leaders in categories. Currently at 25.8 kilometers. And McCarthy again, she is on the move.
God, that was a kick.
Mary-Kate McCarthy is a rider who is so aggressive. She really wants to set the pace, to make the racing. This is great training to race. This is great racing as training. This is action all the way up this climb.
This is the Category 2 leaders catching the riders in Category 3 who are leading the race at the moment. And that is the pack. So 7 riders in the leading group in Category 3. Now being caught by the 2 leaders in Category 2.
2 leading riders. Prado opening the gap at 8 watts per kilo. She's started to gap Giovanni. This is going to be Prado. This is going to be Prado for the line. German Prado kicks. She answers everything that Giovanni threw at her. When we get to the line, German Prado takes the win on qualifier race number 3 in category 2. Welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. My name's Matt Payne. I'm here in the studio with the one and only
Emma Martin.
It's our month October. It's brilliant to be here. We had an absolutely amazing night last night at the World Championships. But Emma, we're very quickly back into Arabia. And in fact, it's just a little bit down the road from where we are now.
Well, today for the finals here in October, we're heading to the Jebel Hafeet for the women's race. 35 kilometres of racing, 905 metres of climbing, and well, 2 key climbs along the way. At 9.5 kilometres into the course comes the Aquarium climb. It's 3.5 kilometres long with an average gradient, well, just 2.9%. And I say just 2.9% because then we roll down through the Silent June sprint, through the Al Ain sprint, and then at the 25.4 kilometre mark, we hit the Jebel Hafeet. We climb for 9.5 kilometres with an average gradient of 7%.
And our 4 race categories are all lined up on the start. Category 1, 2, 3, and 4. Category 4 are going to be our first set of riders away. They're going to be hitting the roads first. Remember, today is our finals. The teams are going to be in play. Our riders are going to be in play. And once we get our riders underway, we're going to be bringing you some details of who is racing with who and who's racing against who. It's October. It's our monthly finals. It's go time on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. And our Category 4 riders out from the pens. And having flown over this, a very fortunate position to come to the World Championships. This is so accurate. I love the trees at the side. It's such an accurate representation of what you see as you come down and through and past. Riders away, Emma. This is a big group.
Well, it is indeed. And Birdie and Driscoll is away up and out of the start pen. She had a good start again and really motoring in that pack. 27 riders on the start sheets in Category 4. 6 teams here for the final. Intercontinental with Driscoll, Flores and Bele in the mix. The Petit 4 squad, they are always so strong, you know. Today, Sonnerson, Goodall, Warren, Lloyd and Francis. The strong girls are here. There is Alzat, Tejeros, Alvarez and Solzano. Last month, let's just go back to September because the final for September was in Zurich. And Goddell took the win from Alzat, Idzik, Bago and Francis. The Watt women took the win against the Petit 4 squad. It is going to be a great race today here on the Jebel Hafeet.
So the riders out and away. Let's have a quick recap of those teams. So these are your teams here today. Intercontinentals, Driscoll, Flores and Bele. We've got a Kintsugi squad. They are represented here by Thompson, Leonor, Kirchner, Grace, Paolo and Tangulon. We've got the pedal dancers represented by Gaviria, Bago and Fielder. Our next teams, Petit 4, Phoenix and Strongwells. Well, the Petit 4 squad, they're always here in strength 5 riders for them. Here's Sonnerson, Goodall, Worrell, Lloyd and Francis. And of course, Phoenix, again, 5 riders. De Silva, Kirchner, Neves, Hoyos, Sarasu and Ferron. Strong Girls squad, the 4 riders, Valencia, Tijeros, Alvarez and Solzano. Now, Emma, we had the pleasure of meeting some of our riders from Category 4. We've had the pleasure of meeting some of the riders from Category 3 in person at the venue for the World Championship. And it was great to see lots of the community coming out and supporting, and lots of people online. If you have been in touch, I know loads of people have been messaging the team here to at Biking Emma, which is where you can get hold of Emma, and at Matt Fixer-Payne for myself. If we haven't replied, I'm really, really sorry. We will try and get back to every single one of you. However, on very little sleep, because we've been super, super busy, and because we've been really wanting to make sure that we can deliver to you not just the World Championships, but the Sunday Race Club, I'm certainly feeling a little bit tired this morning. I don't know about everyone on the other side. We didn't even race. We just got to talk about some amazing athletes. However, the Sunday Race Club is here week in, week out. Emma, the Category 4 riders who are up and away and in through the world here. This is where we saw the big Ferrari over the top of the world. These riders are out and racing. Nikki Lloyd here. Now, Lloyd has been riding really, really strongly. Really impressed by her performances of late.
Yes, and she's really coming back into form, which is fabulous to see. So Nikki Lloyd pretty much ever present on the Sunday Race Club, and that is absolutely fantastic. Part and parcel of that Petit 4 squad. They were second last month in the finals. So going to be really interesting to see how they can do today. You know, she's in that squad with Goodall, who took the win in September, and Goodall has been on real form this month, and it's going to be so close, I think.
Yeah, and I think for me, what I really love about the finals, and it is that difference, isn't it? That these riders, as they ride, they really do ride for a team. We know the Petit 4 squad, and all of our squads really work well together. Sonnerson on the move on the front, just wanting to keep the pace high, maybe just trying to do a little bit of a drift off the front of this group at the moment. So they're just going to continue to keep on pushing. Let's see if they can extend that gap at the moment. This is going to to be a real interesting race in Category 4 and also in Category 3. So our Category 3 teams here, we have got the Rolling Tacos. Now, the Rolling Tacos team, Vink, Idzik, Wood, Beltran, and there's a Barlow. We've got the Gear Goddesses in here as well. And that is going to be Bonilla, Van Rossum, De Grazia, Lopez, Tomkinson, Giraldo. We've got the Grandma Gear Squad, Hadlock, Ho, Weiler, Takova, Koden, and Piccolo. As the riders set off, let's just tell you the rest of our riders in our teams. Hot Wheels is Hyde, Mabin, Ellis, Jones, and Zugala. We've got La Rosa Blanca once again back with us, as we would expect. Johnson, Vasquez, Barragan, and Montoya in the team. Golden Light have Golden Light in there. The WhatsApp team, well, Carolina Chizikowicz along with Schultz and Dowling are going to be representing them. Every one of our riders in teams in Category 4 and in Category 3. Brilliant to see just how strong our race fields are. And I'm really looking forward to seeing in Category 3 how some of the riders have progressed, how they've moved up. Some of the riders in this race field were out testing. They were some of our guinea pig riders, the test riders. And what they were doing, they were jumping on those turbo trainers on the stage, if you've watched it, and they were racing.
You mean test riders at the World Championships? Yeah, they were indeed, and it was great and absolutely fantastic to see them doing that. Chizikowicz, we can see in the turbo room at the moment on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. She's in the mix with the group here. De Grazia, Jones, Hadlock, Wood, Takova, all in the mix here towards the front of the group. The group is rolling strongly, just shy of 40 kilometres an hour at the moment. 1 minute 20 of racing complete, nice and cleanly out of that start pen.
And getting out clean, getting out fast, staying in the group, really, really key. Now, talking of people that we had the pleasure to meet, Angel and Hadlock, who's racing at the moment. We got to see working on the event, helping people make it happen, and out there getting to watch some amazing race action. A fearsome athlete herself. And it's always great to put faces to riders' avatars. And we've seen Angel and Hadlock on our screens before. We saw her in person. Great to meet people. And I think for me, the community on MyWhoosh is really, really important.
Yeah, it is indeed. And that community, absolutely essential if you're racing, but also fabulous if you're training and using the platform as a riding tool. You know, you don't have to race to get that community that is available. So Hadlock, De Grazia, Barragan, Vink, all to the fore of this group at the moment, rolling still strongly in the early stages of this course. Now, the first sprint today comes at the 2 kilometre mark. So there is indeed an early sprint on the course, 5 sprints in total, all 300 metres in length. And whilst they don't count for points, the green jersey, the green skin suit is awarded for the rider in each category who tops the sprint table.
Indeed, it is there for bragging rights. It's there for pride. It's also a great way to train as well. Nolan Kokonen, one of our really strong riders in Category 3, a rider who's been riding on this platform for almost as long as I can remember. And another of those really strong riders in that third category squads in the Grand My Gear squad with Hadlock, a teammate that we just saw before. They are a strong squad, the Grand My Gear squad.
Yeah, they are indeed. You know, Grandma Gears, they were second last month to La Rosa Blanca. However, there was just 10 seconds separating those two teams in Category 3. And I just want to remind our viewers that that team competition, between 3 and 5 riders per team, and it's the top 3 riders' finishing positions. It's their time that is added together to give the team competition. And it was so close last month in Zurich in Category 3. And that's because, well, just 4 seconds separated the top 5 riders over the line in Category 3. The strength and depth of the competition, really good.
And that was just reflected what we saw on our screens as the riders went through that sprint section. We saw Kim Bonilla take the green skin suit, and then it was taken from her shoulders as Gina Van Rossum,
Yeah.
a regular sprinter, came through and took that over. Now, that's a green skin suit. That is for the sprints. The green jerseys, well, there are Category 2 riders. So our Category 2 teams, crew, Paulson, Davison, Gonzalez, Roa, and Sanchez. Globetrotters represented by Gianatti Predo, Jaramillo Viatori, and Giovanni. The on-the-spot riders, Alta Marino, Takanas, De Silva. And also joined by the Rolling Joke squad, Filensky, Walkenhurst, Marba, and Kong. The team from Sunday Crew, Bonilla, Harmson, Hill, and Gore, and the Velocity Vikings. They are going to be Svarstrand, Nordin, Montgomery, Larson, and London. Sorry, Sarah. Just nearly got you. Could put both names together. That's not going to happen too much today. Honest Gov. We're in with German Prado. We're off from our race start. It is our monthly finals on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, Category 2 away.
Well, 25 riders on the start sheets in Category 2. Those 6 teams all represented. And the Category 2 race field also really, really strong. Last month in Zurich, 8 seconds separated the top 5. The Globetrotters took the win from the Velocity Vikings. 44 seconds separating those 2 teams in that team competition. And I think today, here on the Jebel Hafeet, it is going to be close as well. Now, interestingly, Matt, I tell you, the women have not raced on the Jebel Hafeet for a long time.
Okay, long is relative. If you're as old as I am, long is a long, long time ago in the dim and distant mists of history. How long is long?
Well, the May final.
Wow, seriously?
Yeah, so the
No way.
So the Jebel Hafeet was last used in the May final, and before that it was February.
So, do you know, I always associate the Jebel Hafeet with the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, probably because it was one of those early things way back in the dim and distant history of MyWhoosh racing. But we've used it relatively infrequently. It is a big course. It's a big climb, isn't it?
We've had lots of new courses this year. And we've seen those new courses come through onto the Sunday Race Club. And the Jebel Hafeet was always I'm going to think the Hafeet is quite a traditional Sunday Race Club course. And it hasn't been used as regularly this year as it has in the men's. So the men have used the Jebel Hafeet more than the women. But the women, the last time they raced the Jebel Hafeet, that was for the May final. And well, in Category 2, where we are at the moment, it was Prado who took the win then from Hermansen, Vittori, McAlpine and Cassani with a winning time of 1 hour, 17 minutes dead.
1 hour, 17 minutes. So let's see if that will change. Julia Montgomery, just on our screens, one of our regular riders on the Sunday Race Club, the insight into our riders' worlds, their pain caves, where they're out and training, where they're out and racing. Always interesting. Now, Sophie Giovanni in here. Sophie Giovanni, actually on the message board, one of our regular riders that communicates. Please do get in touch. Don't think that just because you hear our voice all over the place that we're not going to be in touch. We really, really love to hear what you've been up to, what you think, what you say, your comments are, any feedback. It's always great to have those because it's always good to know what you're getting up to. Now, Sophie Giovanni is back in her familiar position. This is her standard pain cave, so not out and about, but interestingly, bright daylight coming in there where Giovanni is.
Well, as the Category 2 riders head into Ferrari World, let's just take a quick run around the screen, because on the top right-hand corner, you've got the graphic that gives you the gradient that the riders are on at the moment. The packs that you are watching, that's the yellow line. They just dropped in. They're going to climb out of Ferrari World, and you're just going to see the gradient, which is the percentage next to the line go up. So 2.4% at the moment for the climb. It's going to come out onto the flat. The coloured zones underneath, well, that's about the rider we are in with at the moment. They're highlighted in blue. So Nelly Larson, currently zone 2, you can see in terms of the effort. And it's Larson's stats that are in the middle of the screen at the moment. So those stats in the middle of the screen, always relating to the rider, highlighted in blue on the list of riders on the right-hand side of the screen.
And all of the data, one of the key things about racing and riding and viewing and indeed commentating on esports cycling, because the data that we get, the views that we get of the riders, their heart rates, the watts per kilo, whether they're in the draft or not, is all on the screens for our riders. The green arches indicating when our riders come in and out of those sprint sections. The polka dot arches indicating when we go in and out of our climb sections. And of course, the finish line is the one that everybody wants to get to in first position. Well, we've got 35 kilometers for our Category 1 riders, who are our last riders to start to get to the start line. Now, I'm going to run through the start list rather than necessarily who's on the line for a very important reason here. So, our block international, Hermansen, Holcroft, McCarthy, Soderstrom, and Penna. Feto, Skia, Van Hove, Kalman, Guerra, Kolkowitz, and Bassoni. Fully calibrated, Engstrom, Tidholm, Van Shore, Sidlick, and Colombi. And the sweat sensations, Velt, Fua, Bruni, and Koistonen. Now, that list contains people who were racing. Now, I'm not going to give any spoilers away from the World Championships if I can help it, initially anyway. So this is your warning. Later in the show, you will get some. We are up and away. We are in with Mary-Kate McCarthy. If you don't want to know any of the results, I suggest that you put this on pause, watch the World Championships, and come back very, very quickly afterwards. Right, have you gone? Have you moved over? If you're still with us now, we are now going to give spoilers. This is your warning. We are now going to give World Championship spoilers. Mary-Kate McCarthy.
The new world champion.
Absolutely astounding ride. And to come back on, I mean, we watched the emotion on her face. We saw what it meant to her. We saw her on the stage with the national anthem playing. I'm trying to think how long after it is, but it's about 12 hours. No, it's not even that. It is amazing. And she's here, and she's racing, and is away on the Sunday race for the finals.
She is indeed. So Mary-Kate McCarthy, the rider from New Zealand, taking the gold medal last night in the World Championships final. Gabby Guerra is also in the pack. She took the silver medal. And, the team as well, Catherine Fua, she is also on your screen. She did indeed take the bronze.
So Gabby Guerra on your screens. Gabby, we can give you some insider information. This morning, we saw Gabby this morning looking very happy. Good to see you, Gabby. It doesn't seem like about 3 hours ago that we saw her actually at the
riding
hotel.
and racing from her hotel at the World Championships. So she's not got that silver medal hung around her neck, but and truly a phenomenal performance. And it was so close in the women's competition in the World Championship final last night. And we have other racers from that final, part and parcel of this race today as well.
I know. I mean, what an amazing ability. It shows you how good the riders are at the very top of esports, that they have the ability to race a world championship on a Saturday and on the Sunday morning to come in and race. We'll see how their legs go when we get onto the climb, because of course with 35 kilometers and we have got 905 meters of ascent during today's race. Well, that might take its toll.
I am going to caveat this, because in that Category 1 race, we do indeed have a number of those finalists from last night's World Championships. But we also have riders in this Category 1 race who were not in that race.
And they must be rubbing their hands in delight. Now we're in with Cornelia Engstrom. It was an absolute delight to see our riders racing last night. So many different stories, so many different backstories to our riders who are racing. Engstrom at the moment, one of the Swedish squad who are amazingly strong. And they race 6 riders from Sweden. The Swedes doing an incredible job of putting out performance after performance after performance. And I have to say, each and every one of them doing an amazing job, irrespective of wherever they finish top to bottom of those standings. Just to get into the finals is an absolutely monumental task in itself. To get through the finals in one piece it's another thing again. And of course, then all our riders are racing. Now, Amelia Velt in here, another of our finalists in the World Championships. And one of the people who maybe surprised a few people really went on the offensive, Amelia, just in here on the screen. You can just see again riding, just looking out of that across the hotel room.
This is a bit like whose hotel view is the best.
It is a little bit. I have to say, a massive one. The whole of the team looking after our riders. I know the rider liaison officer, the team who provided them all with all the turbo trainers in the room. A massive thank you to the team at Elite, because they provided the turbos. They've had turbo trainers in the room, turbo trainers in the stadium to warm up, and turbo trainers to race on. And they're back racing again.
Well, have turbo trainer, will travel, will race. That's what it's all about. This is cycling esports. It can come and you can race anywhere in the world at any time, as long as you've got your equipment with you.
And a good internet signal.
Well, that is true. And I have had a message from one of our riders in another category letting me know that they are indeed away on a cycling training break. And they've taken the turbo with them. And whilst the Wi-Fi is good enough to get into the Sunday Race Club and race, they're not going to be on camera today.
Okay. Well, I don't know who that is, but I'm sure at some point we may work it out. You never ever know. Right, Joanna Coleman in action now. Joanna Coleman, a rider who I think is who could well benefit riding and racing here on this course. Climbing up that climb, she is really impressed over the last month. I think really has come into herself and into the race club on Sundays and improving, as so many of our riders have. Takova, another rider. I mean, Nicola Takova this last month. It really has been strong.
Yeah, she has indeed. And this is interesting. At the 9.2 kilometre mark, the Category 3 riders are now, what I'm going to say, on the foothills of the Aquarium climb. So Takova, at the moment, you can see there on your screen, the blue sky in the background. She's in this group in the Category 3 pack. The polka dot banner is coming, signifying the main start of the Aquarium climb. Even though this pack have been climbing a little way up from the downtown sprint to get to the base of the climb.
Yeah, Nicola Takova, a rider who great to see in action here, and on to the climb in her hotel room. She gets, I like the camera angle with a bit of nice blue sky up at the top there. That's really good. Now, as the blue sky shines down through the windows of Takova, the rider's starting to ride clear. There is sky between these riders. There is distance between them. The stretch, the pressure being put on by our Category 3 leaders as they chase Category 4, who set off in front, already starting to take its toll. You can see riders, those blue discs representing a rider on the left-hand side of your screen. And as that blobber turns into a series, a long line of dot to dot, what we're going to find is that's representative of our riders stretching out now. We're in with Gina Van Rossum, the green jersey at the moment. We're heading on the Aquarium climb, Emma. This is a really instrumental climb, isn't it?
It is, and it is really important because it will be the first selection point, and it may not be the place where riders go away, but it will be where we see riders drop off the back of the group. Now, Van Rossum took the win in California in qualifier 2 this month, and as we were just talking about Takova, she's had 2 4th places, so we've had some real mixes of performances in the Category 3 race this month. Hadlock's had a win, Simpkins had a win, Van Rossum's had a win. So 3 different races for qualifying in October, 3 different winners.
So Category 3 on the left-hand side of your screen. Category 4 on the right-hand side of your screen. As you can see, starting to make their way to the top of the climb. The Category 4 riders know that when they get to the top of this, they've got to be in that leading pack, realistically, to be in with a chance of victory. This is the first real key selection point, because as the riders go over the top, you will see the momentum and speed build. A fast acceleration over the top means that you're picking up pace, you're picking up speed. You can see on the right hand side of your screen the chevrons kicking in, and also on the left as riders dig deep, the colour reflecting how far into their limits they are going. The moment Category 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 zones, our riders are going to use every single one of those, because the rest is important as well, isn't it, Emma? Because going over the top, it's not just about being in position, it's about being able to rest rest and recuperate. And that's something the riders sometimes don't want each other to do.
Well, and that's it, isn't it? You know, as much recovery as you can get during the race, you want to be the rider who expends the least amount of energy, but is at the front at the right place. And the only time you need to be at the front, well, that's when you cross the line.
I'll try and remember that next time I jump on a race, because I'm usually the donkey up the road doing all the work and going nowhere.
Well, category 1 now moving through. They're at the 5.2 kilometre marker. They've just gone through the Dubai Mall sprint. And I can tell you, well, at the first sprint, they rolled through. The fastest sprint time at the Al Dar HQ sprint, well, that was Gina Van Rossum. She pushed on in Cat 3. In the Dubai Mall sprint, well, category 1, they rolled through. This is a steady start for the category 1 race back, and you can see those Dubai Mall sprint results on your screen.
Well, it's Bonilla even, who has got that. My eyes are struggling today. Never mind my voice. It's 30 seconds going through the sprint there. Valensky, Marb, Sanchez, Kong, your top 5 as they went through. Gonzalez, Ruhr, interestingly, not going for that. Harms and Larson, Montgomery, London. All of those riders separated by 1.275 of a second, separating the top 10 riders at the Dubai Mall sprint. That's the second of the 5 sprints. So the points from each and every sprint are added together in each category. In each category, well, they have their own sprint jersey, they have their own mountain jersey, and they have their own overall prize category as well. Remember, today we are racing not just for individual prizes and glory, we're racing for the team, we're racing for those team prizes as well, and that is really, really critical. Gabby Guerra, a rider who gave absolutely everything yesterday. She was dead on the bike at the end of that. She was so exhausted in the battle for the title. Back in this group and racing, so looking very, very strong. One of those riders who's putting in that repeat performance here today. And you can see 4 of our riders, all of whom from the hotel here and racing. And Talia Idzik is here, Nicola Takova, Amelia Velt, and Gabriela Guerra, separated by about 14 floors. There you go. That's a weird stat. And look at that, we got Michael Kaminsky jumping in as well. I think for a lot of these riders, it's a bit like the end of term. It's the end of term finals. You know, it's that last day of school, last chance to really hit it out at the park. And then I think there's going to be, there might be a little bit of sightseeing for some of these riders. I hope so. I hope they're going to get to experience the amazing place that is Abu Dhabi.
Well, whilst Idzik has Kaminsky in the background cheering her on and getting ready for his race later. Takova, Velt and Guerra all focused on the screen. I would love the fact that if they were in the same numbered room but on different floors, that would be a great photo from outside the hotel if you could ever get that shot. But at the moment, we're in with the category 1 riders. They're coming up to the 7 kilometre mark. They're coming in towards the run through, past the downtown sprint, or towards the downtown sprint, should I say. And then that Aquarium climb is going to be the first of the 2 climbs on the course today that the category 1 riders face.
So the Aquarium climb, the first of those climbs, 3.5 kilometers long, 2.9% average gradient. Then we go on to the Jebel Hafeet. Let's see how the Jebel Hafeet faces our riders at today's racing. Well, with the profile of this course, Emma, we have a rolling sort of terrain. We go into the Aquarium climb, we climb up, and then we've got a long run down. We've got a little bit of a rise through the silent dune sprint, and then we go through Alain, and then head up on to the main climb of the Hafeet. Do you think the riders are going to save a lot of their effort for that Jebel Hafeet section? We can see Stefani Piccolo really stamping on the pedals here. Barragan, Johnson, Montoya, and Elos for company as they make their way up here. Piccolo, we know, is such a strong climber. I mean, this group has really been whittled down from the original start list on category 3. This is a select group already.
Oh, they are indeed, and they're coming towards the top of that that Aquarium climb. It's still a big group, but not as big as they started with. But Van Rossum, Ellos, Hyde, Johnson, Takova, Piccolo, Vasquez are all in the mix here, and Mabin is there too, Van Rossum. Do you know, this is becoming a very, very select category 3 group. But I actually think this course today, well, I think we're going to see a real battle in this category 3 race, because there are some great, great climbers in that group.
I think so, yeah. I think there's maybe a predominance of climbers versus riders who maybe are rulers or sprinters. Now, it was Annalyn Tajeros who held the fastest time up that climb from category 4. The category 4 riders, of course, setting off in front of category 3. That gap initially 5 minutes. They are working their way through some of the race field of category 4 as they catch up to riders that have already been distanced from the lead of category 4. The category 3 leaders now go over the top and into the descent. So category 4 at the moment at what is going to be 16.4k. We have got 13.5 for our category 3. Category 2 chasing at 11k and just coming up towards the 9k marker and heading up in towards that climb. They're not far away now. Category 1, the last set of riders to leave our start pens. And interestingly, that's a big pack of category 2. We've got a good sized group in category 3, and whilst it's select, it is still a reasonable sized pack in category 3. We've got no solo breakaways. There's a long way to go.
Well, it is a long way to go, but category 4, 7 riders in that leading group, and Warren, Francis, Sonnerson, Arias, Tajeros, Alza and Bago in that leading group in category 4. In category 3, over the top of the Aquarium climb, that leading group, 14 riders strong. I mean, it is category 3 is our biggest category today with 29 riders on the start sheets, but 14 riders still in contention at the top of the Aquarium climb. Category 2, well, they are on the Aquarium climb at the moment. You can see the gradient currently just shy of 5%. The pack motoring and moving, they're all still together at the moment. They dropped a rider off the back of the group, but that pretty much was before the Aquarium climb.
So here we go, category 1 on the way in to the Aquarium climb, coming underneath that polka dot banner here. This is the start of the climb timed section. So when we're talking about esports, if you're new to esports, we have 2 ways of measuring things. One is the first across the line, and that's what's most important when you're at the finish. When you get to the finishing line, on the way through, the climb segments and the sprint segments are fastest through those areas. So fastest through the climb, fastest up the climb. So when we talk about that climb time, it's not the first rider over the summit, as you would find in a Grand Tour, which is important. That's where the points are allocated. The points are allocated out to the fastest rider. So if you go over in one group, if you started the climb at the back of the group and finished the climb at the front, you would get the fastest time because you move right through that group. However, with these big groups, almost impossible to work that out in your head. You really do need to work hard to get through. And remember, of course, this is for really for us. It's information that we can paint the picture for you because it's a window in on the climb.
Well, talking about windows, there's a window into 3 of our riders at the moment. De Gracia, Hadlock and Kokkonen all on your screens at the moment. They're all in there in that group. We're Imogen De Gracia on the main picture. She's right at the top of your screen waving. She's looking, oh, look at that. A great shot of some refueling going on as well.
I know, that's making me really hungry. I have to say, I'm not sure I've got any.
No, hold on
no
a minute.
Food in the studio.
De Gracia needs to refuel because she needs to be thinking about the next 20 kilometres and getting to that finish line right at the front of the race. And she is going to be part and parcel of that race on the Jebel Hafeet when they get there. That comes at the 25.4 kilometre marker in this race. The category 2 riders, well, it's going to be some while till they are at that point, but they are indeed coming to the top of the Aquarium climb.
So it's up the Aquarium climb, 13 kilometres into the race route. We saw Category 3 go faster than Category 4. I'm waiting for our screen. Here we go. So Category 2 have gone over. Emma, have they gone over faster?
They have indeed. So they do indeed go over quicker than the Category 3 riders. And that's normally what we would expect on a climb. But I can tell you, there are 20 riders still in that leading group.
How many?
20. I told you they hadn't dropped very many riders. In fact, we've got one rider just off the back of the group at the moment, and that is Julia Montgomery. She's got 2 seconds back. She's going to need to squeeze on if she wants to get back in contention, because on this downhill section, she can't come off the pace because they are going to roll away from her.
And that is because of the dynamics when you ride in a pack, whether that is on the road, whether that pack is off-road, whether that pack is in a velodrome, or whether that pack is on esports, because of the effect of having to push through the wind. When you're solo, it is so much harder. When you've got a group to hide behind, it lets you go much quicker. And at the moment, the pack in Category 2 is big. It's starting to distance the Montgomery at the moment on the descent. But if riders get distance, they still need to push because the team competition is based on time. And whilst you might have 5 riders, you only need one of your top 3 to maybe have an issue, maybe blow it, go too hard too early, maybe have a technical issue. And then you may be the rider who's going to count, even if you're sitting in 4th or 5th of your team at that stage. And some of these teams will know that they have to push all the way to the line. They need to keep a check on where they are. You need to have that backup. Ideally, having 4 or 5 riders gives you that option, because you don't always know in the morning when you jump on the bike, are you going to have amazing race legs, or are you going to have dead legs after a training session?
Well, Bassoni, you can see the fan on her, and the fan's essential pieces of equipment for cycling esports, really trying to keep that body temperature as low as possible. And because, racing and riding indoors, you haven't got the outdoor conditions. You don't have the wind to keep you cool.
Indeed, and the core temperature, your body temperature will increase as you're working, just like any engine. As you are putting fuel in, you burn the fuel, and that generates heat. It also, of course, gives you that propulsion, the power to go down. Every time you're using that, it is going to make a difference, and it does heat up. Even if you are in a relatively cool room to start off with, the temperature will rise as the pace rises. You're working harder, and keeping cool really, really good. But of course, keeping cool is one of the reasons that riders jump on esports, because if it's 51 degrees outside, don't say that there's nowhere that hot, because believe me, there is. Then you need to get indoors and get out of that, because there is a point at which you really are going to physically struggle, and survival just doesn't happen, never mind racing. So the fans really important. Hopefully blowing hard on our Category 1 riders that are on the Aquarium climb.
They are indeed on the Aquarium climb. They are all still together. They're at 12.1 kilometres. The Aquarium climb finishes in around 800 metres, and this is not going to break the Category 1 pack. We've got one rider in green in there. That's because they are currently leading the sprint competition in the Category 1 race. It is a pack just of Category 1 riders. There's no Category 2 green jersey in there. It is that sprint competition wearer. It's Mika Soderstrom in green.
Excellent.
I know.
Excellent. Do you know what? Mika Soderstrom, great rider. Really impressed by her racing, her riding. I am always impressed by our athletes, our riders, their performances, and by the fact that they can keep on pushing out performance after performance. Now, Category 1 are coming up to the top of the climb. Let's see these riders head up over the top. Let's keep an eye on Amelia Velt here out of the saddle, kicking down hard here. You can see the pace has picked up. These riders just making sure that they squeeze on into the group. They don't want to be on the back, and it's so easy to be caught out here. So Category 3 went faster than Category 4. Category 2 went faster than Category 3. What have Category 1 done as they come up and over the climb? Here comes the banner. The archway is coming. The end of the time section is past, and this is where we find out just how fresh these riders are. The riders went over the top there, Emma. Have they gone faster? Who has our fastest time?
Well, they have indeed gone quicker, and the fastest time being set by Mary Kate McCarthy up there, 6 minutes 42 seconds. Amelia Velt into Guerra, Bruni, Sidlick, Holdcroft, Soderstrom, Kalman, Koinsonen, and Hermansen. That is the Category 1 pack climbing. In fact, all 20, or shall I say all 18 of them, going through in a group over the top underneath that polka dot banner together, setting the fastest rolling time on the road. Sophie Giovanni taking the fastest time in Category 2, Gina de Gracia taking the fastest time in Category 3, and Annalyn Tejeros taking the fastest time in Category 4.
So they are going to be our polka dot jersey wearers. 2 polka dot point scoring opportunities, one on the Aquarium climb, one of which is on the Jebel Hafeet that comes up after. That's our last climb of the day. Category 2 just starting to distance riders at the moment on this little rise out on the way out towards the Silent Dunes sprint. Let's keep an eye on them on this climb. So Category 2, climbing the way out. This is a particularly nasty section of the race route. As you come off the Aquarium climb, you go to the descent from the Aquarium climb, and it dips down to what is our low point on the course today, actually running below 0 meters, or sea level as you would call it normally. And then the riders make the way through. They go through Silent Dunes, they go through the lane, and then on to the main climb. As they make their way onto that main climb, they know that they're going to have their climbing legs with them, but these are the sections where we see damage being done. It's on those innocuous sections that you don't notice necessarily are there, but where riders have spotted this or they've ridden before, they push on. This is a steppy kind of climb as well, because you've got the first section from the low point to this run through the sprint, and then it kicks again. This section of sprint really difficult to make it count in terms of a sprint. However, the riders at the moment making their way through. Sarah Lundin there, keeping those pedals spinning. The Silent Dunes sprint, well, the fastest time in Category 4 set by Nikki Lloyd of the Petite 4 squad through this section. Category 3 coming through, the fastest time that is going to be by, I think that's going to be Vanilla. And then we're going to have a little bit of a check and see who has gone through fastest in Category 2. I think that is going to be Filensky. It is. So Filensky going in and through this leading group of riders. 18 riders still in Category 2 in that leading group on the top right-hand side of your screen. So Category 4, the furthest down the road, they're at 22 kilometers. They are currently sitting what is going to be just shy of 3.5k from the start of the climb. Category 3, they're at 20.8k. Got a little bit further to go. Category 2 at the moment, just climbing over the top from the far side of the Silent Dunes sprint. And Category 1 riders are still on that descent from the Aquarium climb. You can see that it's going to dip out, and then we're going to go on that same section of climb that we saw our Category 2 on not all that long ago. All these riders are chasing the top prize here today, to try and take away the win. Top 5 riders and top 5 teams in each of our race categories getting prizes, prize money equal across both the men's and women's racing, as always, here on MyWhoosh. Now, in with Category 2, Nelly Larson looking very focused here on our screens. And you can see Larson on the bike here, just making sure, tapping that rhythm out, 98 revs per minute. That's the pedal cadence of our rider Larson up in the front of this group, just bringing this group along. Maybe just putting some pressure on the riders over the top, not wanting to let that pace ease off. And I think we are going to see that little bit of a squeeze doing a little bit of damage behind. You go over the top, put the power down, get the speed built up. Then, once you've done that, that is when you can relax. If you don't do that, if you come over the top and you ride through here at a steady pace, not keeping the chain tight, what will happen is you're in danger of being dropped off the back, and then you have to chase on, which is so difficult. Now, Tanya Howeiler at the moment in Category 3, just up the road from our Category 2 leaders. She's going to be the next rider to see them coming in. Second, we see Tanya Howeiler on our screens. So Howeiler it is solo at the moment, being chased from behind. Now she makes her way along this section. We've gone over the top of the climb that follows on from that steep descent. And at the moment, Tanya Howeiler looking pretty smooth as she goes through that revs, 80 revs per minute at the moment, 150 watts. Keep a check. She's being chased though, 17 seconds back, the lead of Category 2. So Tanya Howeiler being chased down by that Category 2 bunch behind Holmes and Davison leading that chase. They're going to come into sight very shortly. Tanya Howeiler, though, in Category 3 has been riding really, really strong. It's always good to see our Category 3 riders going well. Currently leading the top of the Silent Dunes sprint standings. Category 4, 3 and 2 have been through. Category 3 riders, though, leading the pace through that sprint.
Well, it is indeed. And at the moment, through that Silent Dunes sprint, it is indeed, excuse me, it's Bonilla at the moment who's got the fastest time.
I know, and Bonilla, Bonilla, a rider who's ridden really, really well this month, has really, really improved on the platform. Let's see if those times hold, though, because you can see this is our Category 1 pack. They're heading into that same point, the Silent Dune sprint. This sprint section is 300 meters long. The pressure is on the front. You can see behind one or two riders just struggling, and we saw this in Category 2 as they came over. We saw this same gap starting to open at the back and the pressure being applied to the riders bunching together in this flat section through the sprint, and then another kick at the end of this, really doing damage.
There aren't a lot of opportunities on this course to actually test the riders' legs and to see who's feeling strong in the pack before you get to the Jebel Hafeet climb at that 25.4 kilometre mark. This section is one of them. It's really innocuous. You're coming through the Silent Dunes, you drop down from the Aquarium climb, and then you've got the little kick up before you get to the sprint. The sprint here, you can see we've just gone under the end banner, the green banner signifying the end of the sprint, on the flat section between the two little kickers. Now, you can see actually the Category 1 pack rolling through that sprint section. Bonilla's still having the fastest time, so the Silent Dunes sprint, Bonilla setting the fastest time from Category 3, 30 seconds. Ahead of Filensky Category 2, then Kolkowitz from Category 1, Giovanni and Gonzalez Rua, all Category 2, Van Shaw from Category 1, Harms and Davison and Svardström back to the Category 2 pack. So the top 10, a real mix. And taking just a look at the times through there, well, pretty much Category 1 and Category 2 moving at the same speed.
So the groups on the way through, we live out keeping those pedals ticking around, keeping the pedal case. One of the things I always think when we watch our riders on the climb here, Emma, is the difference in riding style. Some of our riders, and it's not always what you would think would be the sort of the shorter in terms of heights of riders. There's no physical sort of correlation. It is purely style. I think how riders spin. They spin up at a real rev. Some riders climb at a real revy pace. Other riders stamp and stomp their way up there out the pedals and really put everything in there. As we go into the climb, I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. The Category 4 riders currently at 25.1k. 25.4k is the official start of the climb. You can see that we are coming in to that section now. There is an initial step. The banner here kicks off at the base. It's a flat run in. We then have our first step, and then we have the flat section. That first step is steep, and this is going to be really, really key because at the moment, the leading group here are coming into this, and I think we're going to see some fireworks pretty early on to try and distance some riders.
Well, I'll tell you something, it's still a pretty big group. I've got 8 riders on my sheets at the moment in this leading group in Category 4, and I tell you, I think it's around 50 seconds. It is 51 seconds this leading group have.
That is a big big gap. What a distance that has opened up already. And I think as we go on here, I mean, we're watching Valencia. We know she's a great climber. All these riders are amazing riders, irrespective of what category they're in. They do an amazing job racing week in, week out. Isabel Alzad on our screen, the rider there pushing with Bago on the front. Now, Katie Bago is putting in some great performances. Got to be one to watch on here. Jeros always climbs well. Goodall is in here. Sonnerson still in this pack. Francis in here. Warren is in here as well. Anybody, I mean, we're seeing these riders going to the red here because this is this first steep kicker. Is there anybody at the moment who you're thinking, let's go for a long one?
Well, that is a really good question, isn't it? And I wouldn't put it past Arias. I wouldn't put it past Alzat, to try and go off the front. But the rest of the group, this is the type of climb. In fact, I think this is it is the steepest section on this climb. It just kicked at around 12%. The average gradient on this climb, 7%. But it is, I was going to say, fairly steady. There are a couple of respites, that's what I'm going to call them, slightly flatter sections where you literally get a tiny micro level of rest before the course kicks again. But that climb really moving through. Now, this is interesting. This is the leading group in the Category 3 race. They're starting to pick up the back markers in the Category 4 race as well. Lloyd and Kirchner are in there too. But this pack now of 10 riders in the Category 3 race also on the Jebel Hafeet.
So here we go. They're onto the climb. They're onto the steeper sections. This is where it's going to be telling. This is where it's going to be tough. Category 3 kicking. Gina De Grazia wearing the polka dot skin suit at the moment for taking the fastest time of the Aquarium climb. Points on offer at the top of the Jebel Hafeet climb. Now, the climb section finishes with 500 meters to go to our race finish at 34.5k. De Grazia tapping on with Piccolo at the front. Hyde, Barragan and Rossen digging in deep, going with so is Alos, so is Vasquez. But the stretch is coming. The pack is being thinned out. This is all about staying in that group. Get distance now. You're not going to see the rider's avatar till you get to the top of the climb. It's not often we see people able to come back from a tough early section, but some riders are better on the more gradual, longer climbs. Other riders can kick hard on this early section, and sometimes, well, they do come back.
Well, that is true, because some riders don't have that punch that they see on these short, sharp sections, where these riders who do have that punch, utilising it to stretch the group. Now, some of our riders, when they do climb, want to climb within themselves, and they know the pace that they can stay at for that period of the climb. And at that steady state, the gaps may open, but they may also come back together again. Well, Piccolo climbing strongly at the moment. She's the bottom three of the riders on your screen. Van Rossum and De Grazia are in there as well. And in fact, Gina Van Rossum now trying to close the gap down to Stefani Piccolo. Oh, look at the work being done by Piccolo. The look on her face. Yeah, she's got a gap now of 3 seconds at back. But, well, these three riders in close contention, but riders now being dropped, and the gap is starting to go. So Hadlock now on the wrong side of the gap. She's 5 seconds off of Vasquez, Van Rossum, Barragan. They are on the right side of this gap as they continue to race up this climb.
So let's see what happens at the moment, though. It's early stages.
It is.
We're only at... As we look now, we're at 26.3k. We're not going to hit that finishing banner, the UCI banner, until 35 kilometers. In itself, this is a tough race distance. If this was just only what we've got to come was the race, this would still be tough, and it's made tough by the abilities of our riders. Categories 4 and 3 onto the legendary Jebel Hafeet climb that's been used in so many races. The UAE Tour, a regular visitor to this climb. It featured in the very first races we were running on the Sunday Race Club. It continues to feature. It's not been used, as Emma said at the start of the show, for a long time. I'm quite surprised how long that is. It's it's going to catch out a few riders because a lot of the riders really focusing. Remember, you can jump on and race, you can jump on and ride, you can come on a train, you can just come around and ride these courses because you want to see what the worlds are like. So many different worlds on MyWhoosh, from the new MyWhoosh world, from the UCI world to Switzerland around the UCI HQ to Eagle. Part of that partnership between the UCI and MyWhoosh, the partner to the UCI for esports for 2024, 25, and 26, which is where the country's been awarded up to. And of course, lots of great worlds. I mean, you can go to Alula, to the Elephant Rock, on Emma's hit list of places to go. I know she's going to have to wait a little bit longer for that. We've got race clubs to deal with each and every week. It's an absolute pleasure putting words to the action here with Emma Martin in the studio for a change here at MyWhoosh HQ. And I've got to say thank you, everybody at MyWhoosh, over the last few days, for making us so welcome and for doing such an amazing job, because keeping the game, keeping it all running, having lots of riders riding simultaneously is putting on a World Championship final. Amazing job.
Well, take a look at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, the view of the Jebel Hafeet, but we're overhead. The different coloured discs on your screen, the red being Category 4, the blue being Category 3, and the green, well, that is Category 2, and they are working their way up the Jebel Hafeet and working their way now through the race fields that started ahead of them. And, well, Category 2, we had 20 riders together at the base of the climb. We don't have 20 riders now because they are scattered back down the hillside. But, well, Larson, Nordin, Prado, Gonzalez, Rua are all in the mix here, all climbing very, very strongly. Paulson is there too. Now you can see those riders on your screen right now.
So really interesting, watching the different styles, watching the different ways that these riders approach the climb. One thing they've got in common, they are all absolutely amazing riders, putting in amazing performances here on the Sunday race. The Paulson leading this climb at the moment. You can see Nordin, London, Larson, Gonzalez in here. This is where it's really starting to push. Gabriella Nordin on this climb, another rider who's come back into racing recently and really is improving. Great to see her back racing. Somebody who we've seen a little while ago racing so strongly. Bit of time off, coming back in again. Prado out of the saddle on our screens on the left. So is London on the right-hand side at the bottom. Both Giovanni and Larson sat down, tapping out a rhythm. You can see at the moment the pressure being put on. Giovanni really is nailing this as they come up the climb. It's doing damage. This is going to be a break point. We'll see riders go off the back here. So selections being made. 1, 2, 3 riders from Category 2 at least. Now distance from that race lead.
Oh, the pack still rolling, the pack still moving. Larson, Prado, Giovanni, London, Gonzalez, Rua paying close attention at the front of this group as they continue to work their way up the climb. Takova just being past the Category 3 rider, and Svardström and Davidson have got a little bit of work to do to get back onto that group that's now starting to move away.
So once that gap opens, it's so hard to close it down. You're fighting not just gravity, but the aerodynamic resistance as well. Now, the speeds the riders go on the steep sections, that doesn't take great effect, but you can see when it starts to level off a little bit, people start moving up to the 20, 22, 23, 24, 25K PH, those speeds, and enough to get the pace off. And we saw that in that Category 2 pack then. They went over the rise into the flat. The speed went up, the draft effect of the group, making them easier for them than a solo rider.
Well, I don't know about easier then for a solo rider, but the Category 1 pack, 18 riders rolling in to the base of the climb. And underneath the polka dot banner, that's all 4 race fields now on the Jebel Hafeet.
4 race fields on the climb. Category 1 onto the steep section. This is going to be tough. This is going to be the first point. They've got to really work hard. This is a really strong work by Category 1. Are they going to make it count? Is this one's going to be made? Is this where you would go, Emma?
Well, the gap's now starting to open on the back of the group, and it's the first time in Category 1 we've seen anybody go off the back. So the push now coming on the front of the Category 1 pack, and it's Celine Columbi and Amelia Van Hove, the two riders doing the work at the front.
This is going to be really key. Let's see how they go. Let's see what they can do. Piccolo in the front here in Category 3, climbing strongly up to the very front of the race. Category 3 leader Piccolo now goes into the lead. So Category 3 leading the race overall with Piccolo in position 1. Then it's our Category 4 leaders. Alzate leading that out with Francis Sonderson, Goodall, Bago, and Arias. Then it is the chase on Category 3 behind the leaders in Category 2 are working their way up the climb. And then we are going to see our Category 1. They're all racing for prizes. They're all racing for points. They all want to be at the top. And one of the reasons they want to get to the top first is because we have amazing prize money for our riders. Not just for the very top, not just for our Category 1, but across all 4 categories. Kicking off with Category 4. So Category 4, today we are on the left and the centre of our screens. We have 10,800 AED for our teams. Teams of 3, remember, in Category 4. That's for the win, running right down to 1,080 AED for 5th. For the individual classification, it is the usual prize money, so 2,160 AED for first to 432 AED for 5th place. As we move up from Category 4 to Category 3, we move up in prize money. So individually, now the top prize goes to 3,600. When we move up into our team category in Category 3, well, the top prize for our leading team in Category 3, when they get over the line, those riders at times counting, is 18,000 AED. So we moved up from 4 to 3. It's moving up from 3 to 2 individually, from 1,200 AED for 5th right up to 6,000 AED for 1st. In the team competition, if you've got a team of 3, you could be scoring 30,000 AED for the 1st place if you can get that fastest time between your 3 riders right down to 5th place, which is 3,000 AED. The riders making their way up the climb in Category 1 as well. Now, in Category 1, 10,000 AED for the win individually, 8,000 for 2nd, 6,000 for 3rd, 4,000 for 4th, 5th place, 2,000. And then in the team competition, 5th place, 5,000 AED, 4th place, 10,000 AED, 3rd place, 20,000 AED, and 2nd place, 30,000 AED. The 1st place, 50,000, is a humongously massive sum for the riders, but you may not be in the United Arab Emirates and work in AED. You may work in another currency altogether. It's time for Emma's Exchange.
Well, I have to say, it has to be done because in honour of Mary-Kate McCarthy's gold medal, we're going to New Zealand.
We are going to New Zealand. What an honour for you to do an exchange for the world champion.
Well, I am indeed, and 10,000 AED should McCarthy take the win today at 4,555 New Zealand dollars, and should her team take the win, the 50,000 AED, 22,776 New Zealand dollars as of Emma's Exchange.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you for your exchange. Other exchanges are available. Please do not approach Emma and ask her to exchange anything for any money for anything. This is a person who doesn't ever carry cash around into any studio that I've ever been in because it rattles when you sit down in the chair. So do jump on board. Do remember, of course, that you need to jump on board. You need to be riding on MyWhoosh, and you need to be racing in our categories to be eligible for that prize money. Going through the passport, every single rider subject to verification on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Everybody being checked, all those essential bits of kit there, making sure the riders are coming in. Do please make sure that you download, jump on board, come and join us. We'd love to see you out and racing, out and riding, maybe going on the training. Gabriela Guerra, our silver medalist who really did light up the racing, took that battle to our world champion McCarthy all the way to the line. She fought absolutely. It was gladiatorial between
well,
those
I tell
riders.
you what, they're doing it again. Because Bruni, McCarthy, Guerra, Columbi, Holdcroft, and Manson are all in the mix here at the moment. The riders moving up the Jebel Hafeet. They're at 27.5 kilometers at the moment. They've done 2K of climbing so far, and the riders are locked in battle, as we can see. And I'm going to say it. That graphic on the bottom left-hand corner is my favourite graphic when we are on these big climbs at the end of the Sunday Race Club, because you can just see how all 4 races are coming together on the climb towards the end of the race after those 4 separate starts.
Do you know, I think it's almost as long as we've been on, since we've been on the Jebel Hafeet, that you said how that's your favourite graphic.
Oh, I love it. I just love it because it's just a pictorial representation of the racing and how it all comes together with those staggered starts. So if you are new to the Sunday Race Club, the Category 4 riders start first. They start 5 minutes before Category 3. 5 minutes before Category 2 go the Category 3 riders, and then it's a further 5 minutes from the Category 2 start till the Category 1 riders start. So 15 minutes separate Category 4 from Category 1 at the start of the race. And well, when we've got the Jebel Hafeet at the end of the 35 kilometres, we often see all of those race fields coming together.
Now off the back of the group and just fighting to get back into contention. Joanna Tidholm trying to chase the wheel of Catherine Fuafua, the bronze medalist in the 2024 UCI Cycling Esports World Championships from Abu Dhabi. Powered by MyWhoosh on the way up the climb here in the record books, forever holding on to that bronze medal. And at the moment, being distanced from the leading group, Kolowitz, the rider in front in Category 1, but interspersed between are our Category 3 riders. Jones and Lopez at the moment get a grandstand view of the riders coming in and through, the damage being done on this climb. But remember, even if our riders are not top 5 individually, they may be racing for the team places, for the team competition. And Fua riding with Velta, Bruni, and Koisten. They're the 4 riders on the team list on our start sheets. We're going to have to see if they are able to get themselves into a prize-winning position in that team competition.
Well, the Sweat Sensations, Veltfua, Bruni and Koinsonen, took the win last month in September on the Zurich course, obviously in Switzerland, where Catherine Fua is from. And, you know, it was quite a dominant performance because 3 minutes, 30 seconds separated them from fully calibrated. The team who finished in second in the September final. I think we're going to see a very different result today because of some of those Category 1 riders riding and racing the World Championships yesterday, others not.
And I tell you something, this is a World Championship style performance here by Simone Francis. She's gone clear of Hannah Goodall, leading Category 4 up here by my calculations from what I can tell, because in front you've just seen Category 2 leaders going in and through. Francis has gone with them as hard as she could. You can see the effort there, and that has opened the gap up here. And behind Goodall is currently in the chasing group. You can see them behind Francis here. So Simone Francis, who is riding so strongly at the front, looking to get a time gap, because it's not just about positions today. Normally it's about positions only. That's all that matters, where you are numerically on the final result sheet. Here it's about what you can do in terms of time. Open a gap. Francis, if she can get a gap, that will give the Petite Four squad an advantage in that team competition, because you will be getting some time. Goodall behind, just trying to keep at the pace and go with her. Sonnerson at the moment is the nearest rider, also from that Petite Four squad. 3 riders in the leading group here, all from the same team. If you want to win a team title, if you want to take away top team price, put 3 riders down the road. That's the way to go.
Well, Piccolo is indeed down the road in category 3, or should I say she's up the road, because Piccolo is climbing superbly. So Piccolo now putting in 35 seconds, the gap back to that tiny blue jersey you can see just around the corner at the bottom. That is Manuela Vasquez. Then there's a gap back to Barragan, a gap back to Hadlock, another gap back to Hyde. The top 5 riders, none of them are together. They are all solo individual riders in category 3.
In category 3, Piccolo riding for the Grand My Gear squad. Then you've got Vasquez and Barragan both riding for La Rosa Blanca. And then you've got Hadlock, the teammate in Grand My Gears of Piccolo. They are fighting here. Behind them, then you can see the category 2 riders are going to be coming. Piccolo is going to see them come in, and they are being currently led by Sophie Giovanni. Giovanni riding super strong from the Globetrotters squad. Behind her, she's got German Prado, her teammate. And then we've got Nelly Larson. Larson racing today for the Velocity Vikings. They are the 3 riders at the front of that race, but it's Giovanni, Prado, and Larson in that order. In category 2, we're in with Celine Colombi, though in category 1 here, she's on the heels here of McCarthy. This is a select group of, I think, 4 riders by the looks of it here. Yep, 4 riders. So we've got McCarthy, we've got Guerra, we've got Colombi, and we have got Bruni.
Well, I tell you, Colombia has had a great month throughout October racing the Sunday Race Club. She has had 3 third places. So she finished 3rd in qualifier 1 on the Heritage Climb. She finished 3rd in qualifier 2 in California. And she finished 3rd in qualifier 3 on the Paso Alto. Is she going to go better today? Can she go up that board? Not in 3rd. Can she make a 2nd? Can she make a 1st? Well, at the moment, it's Colombi at the back of this group, but, well, she is not on her own.
Not by any stretch of her imagination here, because she knows that she is up against some of the world's best riders here today. So Colombia on the left-hand side of your screen, Maria Holcroft on the right-hand side of your screen. An amazing ride by her at the World Championships.
Yeah, Holcroft took 4th place last night in the World Championship final. The rider not on the podium, and in fact really, really interesting racing from Holdcroft, because she tied on points in the competition with Lou Bates, her national teammate from Great Britain. Both riders having 156 points in that final, but Holdcroft had the higher placing in the final stage. So according to the rules and regulations of that final, she took 4th, whereas her teammate Lou Bates took 5th.
So the ties are decided by that positioning on that final stage. Really great racing. Don't forget, if you have missed any of the racing from the public qualifiers right the way through to the semi-finals to the finals, if you want to watch back how we first started back on the Sunday Race way back when, then do make sure that you subscribe. You jump onto YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you go onto Twitch. It is MyWhoosh Live on Twitch TV. Subscribe, follow, like, share it amongst your friends. I know that we've been joined by lots and lots of new viewers over the last few months. If you are new, please do get in touch. We do appreciate it if you give us a follow as well. It's at biking_Emma and at Matt Fixer Paint on Instagram. We love to hear from you wherever you are. And if you're out and racing and riding, do let us know, because we really, I have to say, we might spend a lot of time watching TV screens, but we do love to see what our riders are up to on social media as well.
Well, at the moment, Colombi, McCarthy, Guerra and Bruni are the riders in this leading group in category 1. Holdcroft, 20 seconds back.
So Bruni riding for the Sweat Sensations squad. You've got McCarthy in there running for Ablock International. We have got Feto Skiers, Gabriela Guerra in the mix as well. And Celine Colombi from the fully calibrated squad.
One from each squad.
One rider from each squad. So the riders, if they were to finish together like this, essentially, unless it comes down to fractions of a second,
it's all about the 2nd and 3rd rider.
It is. These guys are cancelling each other out in the team competition. So effectively, all 4 squads are going, well, you know, we've got the riders up, and this is putting the pressure on the riders behind. going to be very interesting to see. Okay, let's go to the very front of the race. Stefani Piccolo, Sophie Giovanni, German Prado are our leading riders on the road. Piccolo on the right-hand side of your screens in category 3. On the left-hand side of your screen, it's the category 2 leaders, Giovanni and Prado. They've got Larson at 6 seconds, Valensky's at 12, London at 13, and Nordin at 19 seconds. Piccolo, though, is climbing incredibly well here, being chased by Manuela Vasquez in category 3, but that gap now over 40 seconds between our race leader Stefani Piccolo and the chaser behind Manuela Vasquez. This is going to be a real hard finish though for Piccolo. She's been climbing at the front solo. She's about to get caught. Will she try and go with them? I mean, she's putting down the power at the moment, but the kick from Giovanni at the moment around that corner, I just saw 6 watts.
I know, I saw that too in the category 2 race. Piccolo has to race her own race. Now, all 4 riders, all 4 categories are out on the course at the same time, but they are riding their own race. So category 3 are racing category 3. Category 2 are racing category 2. And what Piccolo now has to bear in mind is she doesn't have to go. She doesn't have to jump onto the wheels of Giovanni and Prado.
So Piccolo on the right-hand side of your screen. Let's watch the rider as the avatar is caught here by Giovanni and Prado, who are the 2 riders on the left-hand side of your screen here. Larson chasing behind as well. So this really is the front of the racing in avatar form and in human form at the moment. The top 4 riders on the climb. The 4 riders at the base of your screen. Piccolo's trying to go with them. Look at her out of the saddle here, kicking down, stamping that pedal stroke round, really making the most of having them go past. Larson, though, focus, chase behind. This is not over for Larson by any stretch of the imagination. She really is using this course and riding to her straights here, keeping the riders in closer distance here. There's not a big gap opened up. Piccolo now lets the riders start to distance her, to sit down back to her own pace here. She's not got to get too engaged. She knows she still has to reach that 35-kilometer marker. Next rider coming up on Piccolo's heels is Nelly Larson. Larson chasing Giovanni and Prado. Prado on the front here in the green. And Sophie Giovanni with that polka dot skin suit as the climb leader after taking the fastest time in her category on the Aquarium climb.
Well, they are indeed, and Giovanni is now motoring up the climb. We're just going to drop back down and look at where the Category 1 riders are, and it's still the 4 leaders at the front of the Category 1 race. Guerra, McCarthy, Bruni, and Columbi. Columbi is the rider at the back of this group, and she's got to pay close attention now because Guerra is up at the saddles, and you can see her tapping on those pedals. A look at concentration on her face, glued to McCarthy's wheel, and that's exactly how she played the final last night. Glued to Mary-Kate McCarthy. Bruni and Columbi, well, they are looking for Guerra's wheel.
That's the Category 1 race. It's the Category 2 race at the very front of the race at the top of the climb. You can see these are the riders who are now going to be battling it out in Category 1 here. Who will take this away? We saw titles decided last night in the stadium in Abu Dhabi. We are now seeing the riders in the front of the race on the road. Category 2 on the right-hand side, Category 1 on the left-hand side of your screen. This fight is going to come down to the line. I think we may see a late breakaway. Emma, what do you think? Are we going to see the moves go? It's the top of this climb is very technical. Now, that doesn't mean that you've got big swooping descents or you've got a big double gap jump if you come from a different discipline. Technical in esports is about the way the momentum runs.
It does indeed, and the momentum does run very differently. This climb, you can see at the moment, currently 11.4% on the left-hand side of your screen. It's on a kicker. Very, very shortly, they're going to get to a flatter section. They're going to get some respite on the climb. As we get towards the top of the Jebel Hafeet, we see a lot more of this. We see a lot more of the respites and the kicks. And that really then becomes about getting your timing right on the run into the finish.
But you've got to be in that lead group to do that. Celine Columbi just starting to have to work her way back on again, just getting a little distance as they came through the group. She then had to pick the momentum up. You can see the face of Celine Columbi on your screen on the left-hand side. As they came into the group, the leaders picked up a little bit of pace, a little bit of draft from the group they were catching. That meant that they then accelerated, lifted the pace, and if you are on the limit and then the riders you are with lift it again. That is excruciating. You have got to answer it, and you've got to respond. You've got to get that timing right. Kick a little bit too hard, you just exaggerate the situation, make it even worse.
Well, these 4 riders are coming up to the 3-kilometre to go mark. I think that final 3 kilometres is going to decide who wins this race, because everybody in this group wants to stay exactly where they are. And Columbi and Bruni on the back of Guerra and McCarthy, they're hanging with the gold and silver medalists from last night. On the right-hand side of your screen, 500 metres up the road is the head of the race. And at the moment, the head of the race is indeed the leaders in the Category 2 race. It's Larson, it's Prado, it's Giovanni. Valensky is now only 10 seconds back.
This is going to be a grandstand finish. Get yourselves your popcorn ready. Get yourselves to the edge of the seats, because we're going to see who will take this out as we come in. A quick reminder, we have 2 banners in quick succession. The first of our arches, the polka dot arch, which signifies the point scoring point, where the riders will know what time they've set on the climb. That is 500 meters before the finishing line. The finishing line, which is topped by that UCI banner, that finishing line is the end of the race. 500 meters separate them, a very technical 500 meters. That is where we are going to see the riders. They've got to be smart. You cannot just ride in a way that is just pure power. You will not win this on power alone. It is about momentum. It's about pace. It's about skill. It's about knowing where to kick. That's what makes great riders. And absolutely great. We had 2 riders down in the stadium last night. Tadej Pogačar along with Peter Sagan coming down and join us. A massive thank you to them for joining us in the stadium. We also had Sophia, who was with us.
How many rainbow jerseys would you like in one venue?
So many. I mean, so many great wins. But what this course really reminds me is you've got to know, we have 3 times national champion for the is it 4 times the UAE? You know, my numbers are all going very wrong here today. In Safira, who was our guest on the commentary, she has been amazing in terms of how she's ridden. A multinational champion.
Yeah, indeed. And I tell you, somebody else who was in the stadium last night, and I was really surprised, was Marion Fromberger. She's a German mountain biker, and she rides on the XCE, the mountain bike eliminator scene. Again, multi-time national German champion, and really given Gaia Tormena a run for her money in the World Championships this year.
Indeed, and another rider who races for Rainbow Bands, who was looking for those All World Cup wins. Good to see her. And a lot of the different disciplines coming together to watch the racing in those UCI cycling esports finals. But this is Sunday Race Club. This is the final for October. We are racing for our individual and our team competition. Team competition, 5 riders maximum, 3 riders minimum to count for your team. The fastest 3 times added together, the fastest team between them is the one that matters. That is the one that counts at the moment. We are in with Gabi Guerra, German Prado, Stefani Piccolo, and Simone Francis on this climb. Categories 1, 2, 3, and 4. They are riding so strongly. Guerra in Category 1, Prado in Category 2. Piccolo, one of our solo riders here, the only solo leader at the moment, I think, in terms of the race in Category 3. Simone Francis here, really fighting in Category 4, looking very strong, and knows that she's currently now within 3 kilometers of the finish. Piccolo with 2K to go. It's going to be 1.8 for Prado, and at the moment, the riders in Category 1, they've got 2K to go as well.
They have indeed, and that battle is on. Bruni, McCarthy and Guerra battling it out now. The 3 riders at the front of the Category 1 race. Celine Columbi now distanced off the back of that group by 8 seconds. So 4 riders were battling it out at the head of the Category 1 race. It's now 3. Merle Bruni, Mary-Kate McCarthy, Gabi Guerra. These 3 riders neck and neck on the climb. Now, this is really interesting. Merle Bruni, long-distance triathlete, phenomenal powers of recovery. recovery and strength. And after having raced last night, I think racing today is not going to affect her at all. In fact, she may even be stronger. Guerra and McCarthy, well, McCarthy previously out on the road in New Zealand. She's got to be used to multi-day stage racing. And Guerra, she started on that road this year outdoors as well. So I think these three are going to battle it to the finish.
There we go. Prediction from Emma as we come in towards our race finish. Category 1. It's 33.4k covered. They're on the way into the lane. I'm just laughing because Emma and I are comparing notes. Simultaneously, we do quite a lot of things in this studio, including drinking coffee. As we go on the climb, our riders, they've simultaneously got to watch the riders around them. They've got to race, got to get the pace right. London here is going to see the leaders in Category 1 come up on her shoulder. Here as they come in to this long, draggy section on the Jebel Hafeet. This is one of the really tough sections. It levels out for a way, and this is where if you've got a little bit of a group, you can get in the draft. You can see that leveling here on MyWhoosh. You can see the way the gradient changes. And at the moment, Guerra, Bruni, and McCarthy are the three leaders in Category 1, just going past London.
And take a look. You can see they've backed off the pace, right off the pace. This is a moment for recovery. They're 1,400 metres, 1,300 metres from the finish line. And this is where you regroup. This is where you take a pause, you have a think, and you work out how you win the race.
So three leaders to make their way into the line in Category 1. Category 2, Nelly Larson, Jermaine Prado are leading now. Sophie Giovanni has been distant, so has Valensky. It's two riders at the front of Category 2, two riders chasing in Category 2. Then behind them, you can see the riders on the left-hand side of your screen. They are the leaders in Category 1, but they have the chasers in Category 2, and now there's a push from McCarthy. McCarthy is kicking in Category 1. She's trying to go clear. Can she make it a double winning weekend here? Because McCarthy is pushing. Guerra is answering this. They're coming after her. Can they answer the attack? And can they all stay in here? Bruni at the moment is trying to get in touch as well. What is going to happen to these riders? The gaps have opened, and I think Gabby Guerra is paying the price of those efforts yesterday, potentially. Let's see what happens. There's distance. There is time to find out as we make our way up. We are coming into the last K for the riders in Category 1. Category 2 leading this out. Nelly Larson, right-hand side of your screen.
Well, Larson goes underneath the polka dot banner, signifying the end of the timed section on the Jebel Hafeet. She's got 500 metres to go, and Jermaine Prado is close on her heels. It's a 1 second gap at the moment between these two riders in Category 2. But take a look at the gradient up above. It's going to get steeper before the finish line. They're going to come round the corner. Timing is going to be everything, and the timing on these final 300 metres is going to decide who wins this race today.
So here we go, right-hand side of your screen, Prado and Larson now going into the steep section. Prado kicks in here, multi-time national champion, a rider who we know has got the strength and the skill and the racing acumen to take this out. She's put the kick in, the distance is opening to Larson. Look at that, the gap has suddenly exploded. 3-4 seconds, it's opened up. Can Larson respond? Has Prado gone too early? Here comes the line. This is the finish. This is the run for the line. It is Prado who is kicking up here. She's coming to the finish. Jermaine Prado is going to be our first winner here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club in Category 2. Jermaine Prado from the Philippines, your race winner here today.
Well, Prado takes the win in Category 2. Larson, well, it was a battle to that final 500 metres. Nelly Larson comes over the line in second. The race unfolds behind in Category 1 because McCarthy is kicking. She's got Bruni on her wheel, but McCarthy's going to take this. She tops the gold medal last night with the win on the Sunday Race Club. It's a double back-to-back from Mary-Kate McCarthy. Merle Bruni comes through in second place in Category 1, and Guerra comes through for third.
So 2 podiums in 2 days for Guerra, 2 wins in 2 days for McCarthy. Mel Bruni coming in second place on the Sunday Race Club here today. Celine Columbi in touch with those leading 3 for so long. fourth rider on the road. She's going to come over the line in fourth place. Remember, category 3 are not all that far behind, as are the rest of category 2. You can catch up with all of the results on the MyWhoosh.com website. Go on to results, and then you can click through all of the race results, including the World Championships. Gabriella Nordin, our next rider, coming in category 2.
Well, she is indeed, and the riders now coming thick and fast across the line. Prado taking that win in category 2. Larsen, Falensky, Giovanni, Harmsen, Lundin and Nordin all across the line, and Jaramillo comes through into a top 10 position.
So let's just give you a quick recap of the positions in category 1 so far. McCarthy taking the win, Bruni in 2, Guerra in 3, coming through with Columbi in 4.
Yeah, indeed. And that winning time from Mary Kate McCarthy, 1 hour, 10 minutes, 59 seconds. And I can tell you that's around 2 to 3 minutes off the best time set on this course, because, well, after last night, what would you expect but McCarthy taking the win? Mel Bruni coming through just 0.8 of a second back to take second place in that category 1 race. Guerra in 3, Columbi in 4, Prado taking the win in category 2. From Larsen, Falensky, Giovanni and Harmsen. And as the results update, Holdcroft coming through for 5th place in that category 1 race.
So those are your top 5 in category 2 and in category 1 so far. Don't forget that you can catch up with all the rest of the results on the MyWhoosh.com website. Absolutely amazing racing yet again in our women's competition here, our women's race, the monthly final for October on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Always a pleasure to put words to the action. You can follow me, it's at Matt Fixer Payne. You can follow Emma, who is at biking_Emma. We are going to go probably do exceptional amounts of coffee, ideally ice cream as well, but that might not happen. And at the same time, get ready for the next race. We hope you're going to join us. Please do subscribe to the MyWhoosh YouTube channel. Follow MyWhoosh on social media. It's at MyWhoosh on Facebook and on Instagram, and my_whoosh on X. Make sure you catch up with the men's race. That is going to be coming to you very shortly. And even better, jump on board and join us on MyWhoosh, riding your bike out and around the many worlds that you can enjoy. But from me, Matt Payne, and from Emma Martin, we'll see you again soon. Stay safe.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.